Hello everyone, my name is Lexi.
And my name is Jessica.
And today we're going to be going over the do's and don'ts of automations. Just want to let you guys know we do have somebody monitoring the chat for any questions you have throughout the webinar. So let's begin.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and take it away. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And the first thing that we're going to go over today is a wrinkle relaxer follow-up and reminder. So to get started, here we have our triggers. And so you can see our trigger for our wrinkle relaxer is Jeuveau, Daxxify, Dysport, and Zeman. And so triggers are very important. Trigger is what's actually going to get somebody or a client to fall into this automation. And so how they get tagged with Jeuveau, Daxxify, or Dysport, or Zeman is all based on how you're checking them out in aesthetic record. And so we have to remember that when we're checking them out in aesthetic record, we have to check them out making sure that we're grabbing them from that inventory list that we have created in aesthetic record. And so that's how actually you will get tagged with the tag inside of LeadAR. And so here you can see that these are our triggers. So I'm going to go ahead and click onto a trigger. Here you can see that the trigger is contact tag. Again, they're getting that tag from that invoice from aesthetic record. So here you can see that we have something called workflow trigger name. So the workflow trigger name, I would highly suggest to customize this. So in this case, right, this trigger, we're tagging Jeuveau. Jeuveau is tagged. A big thing that I just want to make sure that we're keeping in mind is that whatever that is typed here, this is not actually triggering them inside of this automation. This is just really great for more internal use to be able to read the automation more clearly. What's actually going to get them to fall into this trigger is actually playing around with filters. So the filter we would need is tag added, and then we are going to want to use Jeuveau. And you can see right here, we have gone ahead and tagged Jeuveau. So I'm going to hit cancel really quick, and you can see we did the same exact things with Daxxify, with Dysport, and Zeman. And another thing that I also want to touch base is here you can see, right, we tagged it individually. You can see right up on the top that we have 4 all individually tagged. Now, in order for it to work, we have to have this set up like this. If we didn't, let's just say we click onto this Jeuveau one again, and we started listing all of the tags here. This actually wouldn't work because, again, going back to how we're checking them out in aesthetic record with that inventory, if we had all 4 in that one category, they would only fall into that automation if you check them out with all 4 of those neurotoxins. All right, and so that's everything with triggers. Again, just really want to highlight that we definitely want to utilize filters. And the best advice that I can give on any automation that you are creating is you want to get as specific as possible. So here, you can see that after somebody's tag falls into this automation, we have a 2-week wait period, then we have a 2-week post-treatment SMS, and then we have an if-else statement. What I want to talk about here is that these are actually called actions. So again, right, the trigger is what triggers somebody's into the workflow. Anything that happens after the trigger are called action items. Okay, and so the next step right here is what we want to do is remove the Dysport tag and add the Dysport patient tag. And there's a couple of reasons why we want to do this. So again, right, we're getting tagged from that aesthetic record invoice. So what happens is they will only ever get tagged once. So let's just say somebody has come in over the course of the year and they've came in 5 times. Well, if we don't remove that Dysport tag, they'll never fall back into that automation. They only will ever get tagged just that one time. And so in this case, for this automation, every single time that they get their neurotoxin, we want them to be able to come in time after time. And so that's why we have to remove the Dysport patient tag. So we're kind of tricking the system in when they come in again, they'll get retagged and fall into that automation. And so here, that's why we also have this next step called Dysport patient tag, because of course, we still want to be able to keep track of all of our master lists of everyone that has gotten Dysport or has gotten Jeuveau. And so we want to keep that. And in terms of utilizing these patient tags in LeadAR is if you are ever going to want to make a smart list or if you're going to want to send an email campaign, just remember that those disport patient or Jeuveau patient, any patient tag, that's going to be your master list, and that's what you're going to want to use to be able to make those smart lists or campaigns. And so I'm kind of backtrack a little bit. And so the reason why we need to come up with an if-else statement, which is actually right here, is because we have to separate each service into their own column, as you can see on the screen. And the reason why we have to do that is, again, because of the removing the tag. Let's just say if we didn't have the if-else statement and separating into their own categories, what would happen would be, let's say, right, the action item is we need to remove the disport tag. Well, what about if somebody came in for Jeuveau and the action is remove disport tag? Well, someone with the Jeuveau tag isn't going to have that disport tag, and so the automation won't work. And so that's why we have to actually separate them. And so here I'm just going to go ahead and click into the actual if-else statement. So again, I just want to reiterate, here is what we call branches, and this is what we named them, right? So we have disport patient. If you scroll down, Jeuveau patient, again, I also just want to just make sure that however you're labeling that, we're not actually yet tagging them to be able to be in those separate columns. So here we have disport patients, and so this is how we actually filter them. So you can see right here that we're going to need a tag, includes, and it's going to be including disport because we want to separate and have them fall into the disport column. And you can see here as I scroll down, you can see that we have just done the same for Jeuveau and Zeman and Daxify. Okay, and then here the next step is they're going to go on a wait time. So that 2-week wait period and that 2-week SMS, that's just more of a check-in, seeing how they're doing. Are they happy with their results? And then this 60-day wait time is they're going to be waiting in that time, so we can send them a SMS letting them know, hey, it's been 3 months, it's time to come back in and schedule for your 3-month follow-up.
So Jess, I just wanted to ask you, what's kind of important when looking at this automation with 60 days and adding, just remembering that there's also 14 days before that?
Yes, that is a really good question, Lexi. So, right, I said that the three months, right? Usually around every 3 months, somebody's coming back in to get their touch up on their neurotoxin. And so when you're thinking of 3 months, when we're thinking in terms of days, we're like, that's closer to 90 days. But we have to keep in mind that up here on this automation, we already had a 2-week wait time, so 14 days. So we just need to remember that if we want to get as close to that true 90-day reminder that it's time to come back in, we just need to remember that 3 months, 90 days, we want to and that 2-week wait time, we just need to make sure that we subtract that. And so that's why we have the 60 days instead of the 90 days, so it's closer to that true 90-day.
Totally. And I just wanted to ask you, I know that we have these up here, Jeuveau, Daxify, Disport, Zeman. Let's say I wanted to bring on Botox as, another neurotoxin in my practice. How do I add that into the automation, and what's the best way to go about that?
Yes, that is a really good question. So, right, again, everything is based on that invoice tagging and aesthetic record. So what we would do, we would go ahead and hit add trigger. It's going to be a contact tag. Again, we can change this, but when we're typing this out, this is not actually tagging them. Like I said, this is just great for internal use to be able to read the automation more clearly. So I'm going to go ahead and type in Botox. Botox is tagged. And then here is what's actually going to trigger your clients to fall into the automation. We're going to go ahead and go to filters. We're going to select tag was added. We're going to start typing in Botox, and that's all. Okay, so now we can see we've added the Botox tag, but we still now need to get them separated when it comes to removing and adding the tag. And so super simple, all we need to do is click onto this if-else statement. We're going to scroll all the way down, and right here, we're going to go ahead and click Add Branch. So here again, it's just going to say branch. We can change the name so it makes more sense when you're reading it. And then now we actually have to have the trigger that's actually going to separate them. So here we're going to go to contact details. We're going to scroll down until we see tags, and we're going to do the same exact thing, includes, and we're going to go ahead and search for that Botox tag. All right. So we're going to hit save, and I'll hit save here too as well. Okay, so now you can see, as I scroll down just a little bit, you can see that we've added that own separate column. And so an easier life hack that'll make it so much more easier on you guys is, instead of having, to add the extra 4 steps, there's actually an easy way where we can kind of just copy and paste it into the Botox section. So what we would do is these 3 little dots, we want to click copy, and we want all the actions still. So we're going to go ahead and click copy all actions from here, and we're going to click where we want it. So we want it under the Botox column. So here we can see that we have moved it over under the Botox column. So it makes it easier in terms of just the bones of it. We have the bones there, just a simple 2 clicks and it's there. Just don't forget, we're gonna have to still go into here and change this to the tag being Botox. And again, we can change the verbiage here too. So remove Botox tag. And again, same thing, adding, we're gonna go ahead and select the tag, start typing in Botox patient. We can have it here. We'll change it here as well. And then in terms of the waiting 60 days and the 75-day SMS, that we don't need to change. And then again, I'm just gonna hit save. All right.
Perfect. So as you can see, that was super easy for Jess to just copy and move it, and it was something that completely changed our lives when we figured out about that feature. So just don't forget to use that going forward in all your automations. But I wanted to show you just a couple of things about the settings. So in this case, we are going to want to allow re-entry, because every single time that somebody comes in for a neurotoxin, you want them to fall back into this, whether they're a Botox patient, Dysport patient, or if they're a first-time patient. So this is a very good example of why you would want to make sure that that setting is on. And then if you scroll down, we also have a specific time window. So in this case, we have Monday through Friday selected. So you don't want to text your clients on the weekends. It's totally up to you what you want to do there. And you can also adjust the time here as well. Just another example too is if we have a birthday automation on and their birthday is at 12 a.m., you might not want to text them right at 12. So that's another reason why you would want to have this on, but it's totally customizable and up to you depending on the automation and what you're wanting it to do. So just wanted to go over that just a little bit there, but I want to go back into the workflows, and then we're going to go over this skincare automation. But I just wanted to show you how easy it is, how Jess just went over that automation with it being separate, everything like that. You can also just clone the automation and change how Jess did with the Botox. Do that with whatever automation you're wanting to do. So just wanted to show you the settings here. If you click on these 3 dots and you click duplicate workflow, here is where you can just go in and change the automation name, but the bones are already built for you. So you're not starting from scratch over and over again. You can have the bones laid out for you. So you can see whenever I click on this revision skincare one, it is pretty much the exact same except not the 2-week wait time, but the bones are built the exact same, except here what we're doing is tagging the product. So this could be for any skincare line. For example, this one's Revision, but you can do Skin Better, so many different skincare lines that you might carry in your practice. So here, same thing. I'm not gonna go over every little detail, but tag added and you just tag the product. Label it so you can have a better visual, etc. So then here we have an if else, and we're doing the adding and removing the patient tag. So I just wanted to show you here, for example, this Revox line relaxer. So some people would just want, revision skincare patient, or if you want to be as specific as possible, you can say exactly what product they have already bought. Totally up to you there, but we're gonna add them as a patient and then remove the original tag that triggered the workflow. So here we have a wait time of 2 weeks, and then we're gonna send them an SMS. And I think what's cool about this skincare one is just reminding them how to use the product, because I feel like so many times that people don't know how to use skincare products correctly. So what you can do is just go in and remind them, hey, use this at the morning and nighttime for optimal results, and just whatever the post instructions that you're wanting to give them. And so after you text them that, then we have a 45-day wait time and then another SMS, and this is just reminding them that we still have more of this product if you're running low, just to come back and buy it again. So I think that's just a great way to stay in touch with skincare patients, just as it is important as following up with somebody for a neurotoxin treatment. And so same thing here with the settings. We're gonna allow re-entry, because every time that somebody comes and buys that product, you want them to fall back into the automation. And I didn't have a specific time on for this, but totally up to you, again, just for you to customize it however you're wanting to do. So next we're gonna go over the last automation, and that is gonna be the contact form submitted. So this trigger looks a little bit different, and you can use automations in so many different ways, and it doesn't have to just be for client retention or just following up with patients. You can use it internally, and I can show you a little bit more about that here. So for example, this trigger is going to be form submitted. So a contact us form, I would always suggest having this on your website and also in your Instagram bio, because it's a great way to capture leads information and what they're actually interested in, so you have a better idea of what they're walking into and you're walking into. So for example, we have form submitted, and again, trigger name. So we can customize this so you know it's contact us form submitted, just being more specific for you internally. But we're gonna select the form contact us form. So always make sure that you might have a bunch of different forms that you're working on, but make sure that you select the right one so the trigger is correct when turning on this automation.
Yes, and if we didn't have that filter, if let's just say, right, you have 5 different forms right now that's live, whether it's on your website, on any social media platforms, and if you wanted to make this specifically for contact us form, but we didn't filter it, what would happen? Anyone who fills out any of the 5 forms that you currently have right now would all fall into the automation. So again, filters, we want to get as specific as we can.
Yeah, it'll definitely save your life for sure. So we're gonna click save there, and then I'm gonna go ahead and show you one feature that is super important that I think that is just good for internal business reasons. So we're gonna click add, because we're gonna add an action, and then we're gonna search internal notification. And so here you can select how you wanna be notified. Remember that this is going to you personally. So whether you respond fastest to an email, an SMS, or a notification in LeadAR, totally up to you, but for in this case, we're just gonna do email. And so I'm gonna let Jess kind of take over and show you the different options that you have within your business here.
Yes. Okay, so the first little section that we have is the from name. So really up to you. I think I would suggest having your business name from there, your from email. So if you have like an info at or a general email where anyone can reach out to you. And then we also have the user type. So there are actually different ways that you can decide how you want to do that. And so here we can have all users. And so when you're thinking who users, what users? And so all of those users are actually going to be anyone that is under my staff that you have in your settings in LeadAR. And so if you want everyone to get that notification, we can choose all users. Another option that we have is assigned users. So if we have any type of automation or a process where there's a new lead coming in and you want maybe your front desk personnel to automatically get assigned. And so from there, this is also just another example that we could do assigned user. And then the last user type that I want to point out is particular users. So if you don't want all users, and in the way you run your business, you're not assigning users, which is totally fine, we can do particular user instead. And so if we click onto that and we scroll down, here we can see select users. So here again, all of these users are coming from my staff section. And so here, this is where you can choose more than one. You can choose I'll just choose 2 here. And so, right, let's just pretend that these 2 people right here, they are your front desk personnel. And so anytime that contact us form is submitted, they get that notification, and then they go ahead and send them an SMS or give them a phone call. And then from here, this is where you could come up with a little message, again, internally. No one is going to see this. The people who are filling out the contact form isn't going to see this, just for internal use. And so here you can come up with a little message, just putting some verbiage saying, hey, so-and-so filled out this contact form, please reach out to them. And another thing that I also just want to kind of point out is that when building this, definitely use these custom values. And so if we want to get more specific on, well, I need to know who filled it out so I can actually contact them, this is where we can use contact, and we can use full name. So this custom value right here is actually grabbing the contact's full name that submitted that contact form. So yeah, that just makes it easier in terms of that internal notification.
Yeah, totally. And just remember when you're doing the internal notification that it's going to you. So you can really say exactly whatever you want to say to yourself, which is kind of weird to think about. But so for example here, contact name, and then has filled out the contact us form. And so you can just have that internal notification. Okay, they filled this out. Let me go ahead and reach out to them immediately. So we can save this here, or we can just get out of here. So then I have a tag, and I created this one on my own, contact form submitted. And I feel like it's really good to have a tag because you can keep track of, okay, how did they find me and where did they come from? Whether it was on your Instagram where they filled it out, or even on your website where you have it on your website. So I think that is just a great way to just keep track of them. And you can also pull smart list, just like we did for any other Botox patient, anything like that.
Yes, another really great, another thing that we can add on to adding that tag, another scenario is, let's say we're throwing a Botox party, and we have a form out there where they need to fill it out, letting them know that they're coming. This would be a great scenario where we can add that tag, our RSVP form submitted. And from there, right, we can go to smart list, we can create a smart list, and then from there we can kind of get a rough estimate on who's coming to our Botox party.
Yes, totally great example for different types of forms that you can do. This is just for a contact us form, but just remember you can use forms for so many things, and RSVPing and having that true list of who's coming is going to help your business out so much more. So just remember that as well. And then we have a wait time, and I just said 5 minutes, but you can text them immediately, whatever is making sense for your practice. But here I just added an SMS. Thank you so much for filling out the contact us form. Somebody will reach out to you shortly. And while that's getting sent out, you're already getting the notification that they have filled out the form. So that's just a great way there to run your business there. So here when we go to settings, this is a good example of why we would not want to allow reentry here, because once they fill out that form, they're going to become a contact in LeadAR. So you don't need them to fall into this automation multiple times, however many times they fill out the form. Most likely it's only going to be one time, but if they do it again, you don't want them to get the text message and the internal notification because they're already a contact. So, and I didn't have specific time on there, but just remember you can always turn that on. So just wanted to ask, is there anything else that you think that we should add, or do you think that covers it there?
Yeah, and also again, I'm just going to go back into settings here with the whole allow re-entry. So yes, we use this example for contact us form, but right, still going, let's just use an example that we put a little form on your website, and maybe it's something for first-time clients, get, let's say, $20 off or 10% off their first service, and right, they have to fill out that form. And so another good reason on why, or when to turn on allow re-entry, when not to turn on allow re-entry, well, that would be a good idea to not have allow re-entry put on because, right, it's only meant for like a one-time thing. So we don't want, that same person trying to, to fill it out like 3 different times. So that's also just kind of another example, I guess, still using forms, but still another example in terms of when you're playing around with, when you're thinking to yourself, would it make sense to turn on allow re-entry? Would it not? So just another example.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, I think that pretty much concludes our webinar today. Thank you guys so much for joining. And just remember, if you have any questions or any specific questions you want to go over within an automation that you already have, or maybe you want to build one from scratch, just please email info@myleadar.com and we will have somebody assist you right away.
Yes.
Thank you so much.